When I say Super Smash Bros. Melee, what's the first thing to come to mind? Is it the host of new characters, like the newly playable Princess Peach or the Prince of Darkness Ganondorf? Maybe it's the North American debut for Marth and Roy, formerly sequestered to the Japan-only Fire Emblem. Or could it be the intense amounts of crunch that game director Masahiro Sakurai endured over a 13-month stretch to deliver a worthy sequel to his mashup fighting game? For me, it's gotta be the game's debut.
Within Nintendo, we've had a lot of discussion about which of our most popular characters should be ready to appear in games when Nintendo GameCube comes to market. We think we've got a great answer. Take a look.
Unveiled 4 months before the Nintendo GameCube's debut at E3 2001, the trailer for Super Smash Bros. Melee would eventually become the intro video for the game's proper release. It used pre-rendered graphics, higher quality than the in-game character models, to reintroduce the concept of Smash. The in-game graphics were great too, but the cinematic polish thrown on the Melee intro movie helped the series skyrocket in perceived production value. Taken with the deeper gameplay, Melee introduced multiple single and multiplayer modes, as well as moves not present in its prequel. Hooray, wave dashing! And the game quickly became a virtual crossover space in which your wildest video game fantasies could become reality. Pleasing as the updated graphics were, Melee's intro movie caught my attention through sound. On the Nintendo 64, audio memory was a luxury. While previous Nintendo systems featured dedicated memory for song and sound effect data, the N64's audio ran through the same processor that managed the game's graphics. In theory, the console could play some 100 audio channels at CD quality. In reality, the chip pulling double duty meant certain concessions were made. Some games, like F-Zero X and Donkey Kong 64, would rely on the N64's memory expansion pack or the N64 disk drive add-on for improved performance, while companies like Factor 5 would learn to split sound functions between the coprocessor and the CPU. The GameCube also featured its audio processor integrated with its graphics, but the addition of audio-specific RAM allowed for storage of greater quality music. So, raw sound data could be stored on the audio RAM and called on as needed to be mixed into the two channels that the game sends to your speakers or headphones. The important part here is that games like Super Smash Bros. Could evolve from the bottlenecked N64 compositions to feature full-blown orchestrated pieces. In Melee's case, that's exactly what happened. Series composer Hirokazu Ando, previously of Kirby soundtrack fame, kickstarted what would become a mainstay in the Smash series with Melee: orchestrated music. In contrast to Smash 64's horn-heavy, jazz-funk intro, Melee boasted articulated music that catered to capturing the style and nature of each featured character. Ando was listed as Melee's sound director, but Shogo Sakai, Tadashi Ikegami, and Takedo Kitsuda would all create arrangements for Melee's OST. Though Kirby creator Masahiro Sakurai is responsible for the series, the intro's belting choir immediately welcomes Mario as the star of the show. But despite introducing the game in grandiose fashion, the orchestral arrangement breaks for a softer woodwind section as a rose-colored background and stardust effects welcome series newcomer Princess Peach. These contrasts, between the delicate and gangly, raise the stakes of Melee's intro. While the game was originally rooted around wacky, brain-beating action, Melee attempts to recreate each of Nintendo's game worlds as seamlessly as possible. From character designs to level layouts, Melee works to make it believable that Luigi could be exploring Zebes, or Yoshi could race down Mute City. Musically, the intro plays into that stylistic choice. The woodwinds that whisper as Donkey Kong leaps onto the screen comport with the naturalistic setting of DK's games. Or the horn section that bellows as Link is introduced motivates the regal motif of the Zelda series, painting Link as the hero of time, even in this mashed up world. Possibly more important than the shifting instrumentation of the intro is how Sakai and others nails what would become the game's musical motif. A sequence of 13 notes builds Melee's most memorable melody, which resurfaces at various points throughout the game. Now, Sakai and the rest of the sound team were smart. They didn't dump this melody all throughout the game's soundtrack. Melee is still a Smash game in earnest. Each of the stage themes would be remixes of music from their respective game series, further speaking to the sense of authenticity. Melee, however, was a large enough game that it could have some unique sound stylings of its own. The Battlefield and Final Destination songs were early instances of this, and both these stages would become Smash staples, appearing in every game to follow. In fact, part of what makes Melee so special is how the composers had not only managed to recreate accurate, orchestrated representations of Nintendo music, but also deal with creating catchy, series-defining tunes as well. Sakurai commented on this in a roundtable discussion with some of the game's composers and arrangers. He recognized that fans have emotional attachments to pieces of music, and the Smash Bros. Series is sort of like an echo chamber that amplifies those feelings. At the same time, Sakurai knew that composers wouldn't experience the music exactly how fans do. We had to think of the structure of the music and work from there, and what we made was often quite different. But if I got complacent and just decided to use the originals, that would go against the entire point of Melee. Not to veer too off course from the main Melee theme, but this philosophy was baked into many of the game's tracks, which often played like medleys or mashups of a couple shorter songs from a game or series. This is really noticeable on Rainbow Cruise, which begins with the Super Mario 64 slide theme. Then it transitions into a waltz rendition of the series' underwater music. The intro song would earn a reimagining of its own, being reused during modes that were less tied to characters of Smash and more to the unique aspects of Melee as its own game. Both of the multi-man Melee modes earned remixes of this theme. Multi-Man Melee 1 is a decidedly electronic rendition of the main melody, which trades the main musical motif between a slurred, synthy rendition and the striking strums of an electric guitar. Multi-Man Melee 2, however, leans more into an exciting rendition, using a rhythmic bass line to introduce the song before inviting electric guitar, piano, and horns to the party. My favorite use of the Melee theme has to be in the alternate menu track. For much of your playtime, when you aren't scrapping on stages, you'll click through the menu while this track plays. But once you've unlocked all the characters and stages, there's a 25% chance that when accessing the menu, you'll get the second secret theme. Unlike the first menu theme, which is a foreboding pre-battle march governed by percussion and horns, the second menu theme provides an immediate sense of elation. Sakurai wanted as much, with composer Shogo Sakai recalling that he wanted to feel like standing atop a hill on a windy day.
Well, that's anime as fuck!
Of course, this piece follows the same 13-note sequence as the main orchestrated theme. It hits on many of the same beats from the original too, with woodwinds getting a chance to shine, as well as a stellar, orchestral section that adds to the song's sheen. I want to add that it's not just melodic enchantment that catches my ear here. To this point, video game music often relied on a single instrument to carry the melody, with the rest providing rhythmic backup. A monophonic sound is still the case here, though the arrangements often allow different instruments to take charge of the melody at various points throughout the piece. Though Super Smash Bros. Wouldn't receive a proper story mode until the following game, the Melee intro is a prophet of its arrival. Melee's sound inspired the feeling that the game is larger than any single franchise, while still accentuating the traits that made each character unique. Sheik and Zelda's majesty can credibly coexist with Ness's general obliviousness. Bowser can transform into Giga Bowser, and the foursome of Mario, Link, Peach, and Kirby feels like an appropriate team to stop him. Orchestrating these new acquaintances in the intro movie created the closest thing Nintendo has to a cinematic universe. And as evidenced by the most recent game's 80-some characters, the ever-growing soundtrack helps power even the most unlikely of crossovers. As always, thanks so much for watching this video. If you like what you heard or saw, feel free to drop a like or subscribe, or leave a comment of what you might want to see next. Anyway, take care and have a great day.